So kind. Vision 2020, quality schools in every neighborhood, and its report on the family and community engagement, the LCAP Goal 5. Superintendent Martin and Mr. Anjan, please present the item. Yeah.
Thank you, President McQuarrie. I'm inviting our Executive Director of Family and Community Engagement, Mr. Anjan, up to the dais to help present this item. But first, let me put this in context. We do a monthly superintendent or Vision 2020 update where the 6 goal areas that I just talked about for the year, now we're going to get started. Our plan for family and community engagement actually was worked on for an entire year last year. As you may remember, the team worked on it. You heard multiple updates throughout the year. We set forth a vision. We put forth a framework. The board in public meetings received 2 information reports on the redesign of family and community engagement, the December 2015 board report, and in April 2016 we talked about what this year would have in store. So now it's finally here, and Mr. Anjan has been on the job for just a little over a couple of months, 7 weeks, okay? And he is going to talk about what this work will look like this year. And although Mr. Anjan is presenting tonight, he is with an entire community of people, meeting with folks, meeting with their stakeholder groups, having conversations. It's not like a baked plan that now here it's going to go and get done. It happens in community. That's the definition of the work that he does. And so it's really important that we get to hear now how LCAP Goal 5 is going to be imagined and the work is being launched. So with that, I'll let Mr. Anjan begin, and welcome to the dais. It's nice to have you up here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here as the first cabinet level member focused on family and community engagement. This is not a new passion for me, as one of my best moments of my career was engaging families, almost 5,000 of them, in a year-long process to educate and help them become active members of their education, of their child's education. And it's obvious by the work that you've done over the course of the last few years that we have also a passion here for family and community engagement. So we've mentioned multiple times that the journey for family and community engagement work at the district started with the 2020 vision, Vision 4, around parents and community members engaged in learning, and then transitioned to the 12 indicators, which led to the LCAP Goal 5. Parent and community engagement with highly regarded neighborhood schools that serve students, families, and communities. And so, as Ms. Martin mentioned earlier, last year you guys ventured into this journey of looking at what family and community engagement could look like based on the one of the founding frameworks, which was the U.S. Department of Education's dual capacity building framework for family school partnerships, which led us to a space where we engaged multiple partners and stakeholders in the development of what could be a systemic framework for family engagement focused in 4 areas, which was collecting data around family engagement, growing family networks and leadership, utilizing the design thinking to build trust and take action, and empowering families and schools with high impact home strategies. And so in this work that you guys have been culminating and doing, as Ms. Martin mentioned earlier, came in alignment with the learning cycles that our school staff and administrators have been engaged in doing. And so in identifying high impact home strategies that would align with the work that our schools are doing to build a stronger home and school connection. And so, as Ms. Martin mentioned earlier, I've been on the job now 7 weeks, and there's been a lot of time spent with what she also mentioned earlier, which is our inquiry, humble inquiry, which is asking questions to get a better sense of what we are doing, how we are doing it, and what we can do better to service the families so that we are giving them what they need when they need it. And so, one of the key pieces of the work that I've been doing in the last few weeks has been to look at all of the cross-district family and community engagement supports that we currently have on the ground focused on supporting families. And at this time, I have identified over 21 different departments or programs that service our parents and our families, which is phenomenal. And so looking at how we are accessing them and giving them these resources on a constant basis. For example, we have have the Enrollment Options and Neighborhood Schools Department, which we've mentioned already today, in providing the opportunity for families to have choice. Alongside that, has spent a lot of time looking at the engagement with our community partners and have spent time meeting with them at their community organization offices, have spent time driving into the communities where our children live to see what the environments are like for them and what services they have, and have spent some time really looking at internally what how our parents are currently servicing as voices for the large-scale work that we have ahead. And so really being reflective in what we do and how we do it to ensure that we are not leaving any voices out in this work that we have ahead of us. So another aspect of this work that has been done has been really looking at the facilities and the spaces where our families are engaging in this work. And so that is Ballard Center. And with stakeholders have spent time looking at the facilities and what we would propose as some upgrades to ensure that our environments are worthy of families, and that the spaces that we bring our parents to come and learn are also spaces that we engage them to have a voice in how we can make them better. So there are a few things that we have proposed as a collective to see how we can ensure that the learning happens in a space where all people are constantly engaged. So the work has also led me into the instructional cabinet, and that's fantastic because I also have a strong passion for instruction. But through the collective efforts, we've identified 5 key instructional priorities. Tier 1 instruction, highly effective school leaders, multiple tiers of support for students, high quality individual education plans, and the 5th priority being family and community engagement. And with the collective efforts in that work, we have developed 4 equity levers, ensuring that we are, again, bringing equity at the forefront of the work we do, and that is that families are co-teachers and co-learners in students. And there was a strong effort to create and look at all of the things that we have been doing and all of the services that we have, and then really identify what the vision is for this work. And so for each equity lever, we have developed a belief statement that will kind of move this work forward, ensuring that we know exactly who we are and what our beliefs are around family engagement. And so I'd like to read these to you because I think they're very powerful. And that is, for families as co-teachers and co-learners, we believe families and schools are valued and trusted partners who share in the commitment to and responsibility of educating our children. For families as co-leaders, we believe that positive relationships between families and schools serve to strengthen our collective leadership for the betterment of the community. With environments worthy of families, we believe that our schools and district environments are welcoming, organized, safe, and attractive, that serve as neighborhood centers for families to gather, collaborate, and learn together. And for community school partnerships, we believe families, schools, and community organizations engage, connect, and use partnerships to design and take action on outcomes that benefit our children. So there's been a lot of inquiry and learning around what we're doing and how we're doing, and I think this work leads us to have a foundation moving forward in what our true beliefs are around the engagement of parents and community members in how we move forward with the work ahead. So in our effort to strengthen family and community engagement across the district, we looked at identifying spaces where our team can also service the community at a much more strategic way. And so we will be looking at placing our family and community engagement team members in middle schools across each one of the areas so that they have access to supporting all of the schools in this building capacity and organizing effort. And so we want to ensure that there's access to all schools all the time. We've created a timeline that has been basically set forth to really have some, I think, high impact on our community and engagement. So we've developed these belief statements and now are looking at how we will engage our stakeholders in the future. And through this engagement process, we will begin dialoguing on a plan of action in ways that we can collaborate and move forward in the work. And so it started in September 8th with the first Family and Community Engagement event at Lincoln High School with Pedro Noguera. And that was highly successful from the parent comments we heard at the last board meeting, and from the message that he shared about partnership and the work we can do together in this collective effort. We're looking at and have been engaging all of our stakeholders in this process and learning together about where we can move forward. And in the next few weeks, we will hold a Family and Community Engagement District Summit so that we can bring all of these different departments and programs together to start working in alignment and integration and ensuring that we all have the same messaging around what family and community engagement is. As well as launching our family and community engagement resource teachers out to really start building relationships with our teachers, administrators, and parent, as well as community organizations. We hope in December to have a family and community engagement breakfast where we bring partners to the table to have some dialogue and start thinking about how we can, again, collectively start supporting our schools in an effort to strengthen our students. And we look at hosting what will be a first Family and Community Engagement University Day, where we are giving access to our families to a university to have that hands-on experience on what it looks like to be college and career ready, as well as moving with a parent survey towards the end of the year to start collecting some data around what parents and families as well as community members feel about the schools to give us a better sense of where we need to grow. And then closing, I think it's always great to celebrate, and one thing that came to our attention in this work has been that we have we need to look at celebrating our families and our community members who engage in this work with us as partners, and so launching our first Family and Community Engagement Awards at the end of the year in a celebratory manner for the work that we have accomplished and look to accomplish in the future. So that kind of leads us where we are at this moment, in that the plan of action is to get out into the community and engage and start working on a plan on how we do this together and in true partnership. And so I am now left with any questions or comments.
Before we have comments from the board, we have two speakers, and then we can, if there's Francine Maxwell and Celeste Bobrick Ozaki. Thank you, Celeste.
Sorry, I have 6 minutes left of battery life on my laptop. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the school board. My name is Les Bobrick Ozaki. I'm the president for the San Diego Unified Council of PTAs. The PTA's mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. I have had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Anjan as a duly representative of a significant community-level stakeholder in the area of family and community engagement. I have also had the opportunity to review the presentation regarding the work that he has begun as the new Executive Director of Family and Community Engagement. Overall, I am cautiously encouraged by the progress, but I can't deny that there is still significant work to be done before we start to see significant impact on student learning outcomes. The timeline is aggressive, but not impossible. I am personally a firm believer that public education can work for all. The landscape of public education has seen a significant shift in recent years with the implementation of LCFF, LCAP in California, and the new Every Student Succeeds Act at the federal level. Family and community engagement is at the forefront of many conversations, and I see that the role of San Diego Unified Council PTA ties into almost all of the belief statements that were presented. The question that remains in my mind, are there enough access to resources for the Family and Community Engagement Department to build capacity for authentic family and community engagement at a systemic district level? The opportunities for seeing the tangible success is available. It remains to be seen that it will be a reality. On a personal note, one of the things that jazzed me the most in his presentation was the proposal to upgrade Bauer Center. If you don't know already, that is the home for the San Diego Unified Council PTA. So I've been going there not only at the parent, getting parent education for myself, but also evolving at the community level leader. So for the people that are sitting there behind me, I know them as well, so it would be an absolute dream to be able to see that Ballard Center upgraded, because it will be a way of saying thank you to the wonderful work that they have done for many years for our family in San Diego. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Celeste. Yeah, thank you and the PTA for the work that you do, the volunteer hours that you provide. Board comments, questions? Let's start on Trustee Sharon.
I would just like to say that I'm really excited about this. I think you've captured the essence of what we're interested in, and I like the idea that you're getting out in the field and you're actually visiting the communities, and I'm really impressed and excited about this. I just wish you well with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I echo Sharon's comments. I really appreciate the way that you've begun this work, and it's familiar. Your approach is familiar, to a community organizer, because you're basically asset mapping. You're going inside, the district, and then you're going outside to the community organizations, and you're pulling together in your planning an understanding of the resources that are currently available and have always been available to our parents, if we can figure out how to coordinate them and make them more accessible. So I appreciate that you're focused on, consistent with what we were talking about with the superintendent. How do you build infrastructure? How do you build systems that are going to allow us to go out and make progress over time? And we know that the goal that we set out, around this work a couple of years ago is an enormous and really unprecedented challenge, certainly in this school district, and I believe in any school district. And that challenge is, how do we support and build the capacity and the confidence of every parent to successfully support the learning of their students? And we've identified the high impact strategies. And so ultimately, the success of this project is not simply about what we can do and kind of scattered efforts here and there. It's how do we get out to tens of thousands of parents, and how do we know that we're making progress, and that those parents feel that they're building their own capacity to work with their students. So what we've all done and imagined is, taking the work and the kind of these core principles of Cindy's leadership style, transparency and accountability, capacity building, and a focus on equity that has been focused on how do we within the district get better at what we do and create better outcomes for students. So we're taking that set of strategies now outside. And as Superintendent Martin just talked about in terms of the creation of the new equity group, we're committing ourselves and we're making a statement that the circumstances that face our students outside of school are our responsibility, which is, again, an incredible challenge, an incredible concept, I think, for a school district. I think we've always known that, the circumstances that students face outside of schools has a big impact in how well they're able to do at school. But I think traditionally the public school system has said, but that's somebody else's job, or that's not, how can we possibly take that work on? And now we're saying we're ready to take that work on, and we're ready to take that work on with tens of thousands of families in our district. So I think what you're doing is you're putting the time and the effort in on an early, at an early point in this project to understand the resources that are available to us to get out and build those relationships with the community partners and the partners inside the district, because we know that foundation and that infrastructure has to be so incredibly strong for us to actually meet this challenge of supporting tens of thousands of parents. So very, very much appreciated, and I'm sure Lee and Dan and everybody over there are gearing up to get the Ballard Center to a point that Celeste is excited about. So it's a smart move to get that into your PowerPoint.
So it's a challenge. It's a high priority. We need clear action, and I know the community wants to build trust, communication, and the opportunity to see someone who will make a difference, that'll pull our programs forward. We know if we want to have quality schools in our neighborhoods, we need to have quality neighborhoods around our schools, and that means to have active and engaged community and parents. And I know that you're out there because I see you. I'm at a lot of events, and I'm beginning to see you at many of the events that I am attending, and I want to thank you for being at Camp Pendleton there to support our military families and their children. So thank you and good luck, and we wish you well and welcome aboard. Yeah, Mr. Evans?
Yes. Yeah, well, welcome aboard also, and I want to also congratulate you for not reading every word of the PowerPoint. You did a very, very good presentation. I don't know if you were prepped by someone on that.
But we did say he had to read the belief statements because those are very powerful. That was intentional.
No, absolutely. Not every single word. And this whole task that you're taking on, I mean, it's monumental, really, what we're talking about here. I mean, we always pay lip service to, parents are very important, and, so you should show up at the PTA meeting, or you should go to the parent-teacher conference, and we have a certain, small percentage of parents who are very, very involved in these activities. And one of the things we said to the superintendent, as Richard was pointing out a couple of years ago, was, we had done a really good job of engaging the activist parents, that the people who were involved knew what the district was doing and where we were going and why we were doing it, and that was an excellent step forward. But what about all of the others, the vast majority of the parents who do not know about district politics, who do not know about even some particular specifics about their school? And that's who we wanted to have engaged. And I say it's a monumental task because we're looking at it from the top in terms of going down. There's so much below, and then from the bottom up, it's another issue. But where are we trying to get to? And I think what the picture I have is this model school, which really is thriving on parent and community engagement, where every parent is involved. And if there is a child who has a parent who is for some reason not able to be involved, and I would think that has to be a limited number of people, but then there needs to be an adult who is sponsoring and mentoring that student. So you either have a parent in the home or a grandparent or someone who's speaking up for you, or you have someone else who's taking on that role. But what would that be like? And this goes across all socioeconomic groups. People talking about some people have 2 jobs and can't participate. There are plenty of people who have, one very high-paying job and don't have time to participate with their kids. But and it's a variety of things. I mean, it could be showing up in a meeting, but there's all other kinds of ways to connect through technology with everybody. And so we have to really look at how do we reach every single parent and make sure that they're involved. Because ultimately what our goal is that all of the parents feel ownership of the school. They're not just dropping off their kid there. And when we talk about high expectations, we need to have much higher expectations of our parents, that we really expect them to be partners in this. And I know that at Central Elementary they had Family Fridays, and they had probably a dad's club and things like that where people were really, really involved, because we could see tons of things going on across all the district, all kinds of events, different things are going on, wonderful opportunities, learning about universities and everything else, but what is happening with every single kid and every single parent in terms of their being involved. And you know, Paulo Freire, when he talked about literacy, it wasn't just about learning to read and write, it was being able to act upon the world. And do our parents really feel that they have an active and important role in their child's education? And so, as I said, I think you've got a great start. It's a very monumental task, but and the only way I can sort of picture it is almost having a few model schools and saying, okay, with these schools we're going to put a lot of effort into, particularly high needs schools, and we're going to engage everybody and be very creative about how we engage everybody with whatever limitations they have, and then to be able to measure and see what are the results in terms of community, what are the results in terms of student achievement when we have this super high parent and community participation school. So that's a lofty goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, moving on to item F. I know we have some speakers on F5, and